It's not Monday, but it's still time to tell the truth about what went down when the Commanders and Patriots got together for a joint practice in training camp. That and more right now on Locked On Commanders.
You are Locked On Commanders, your daily podcast on the Washington Commanders. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
This is Locked On Commanders. I am David Harrison, your guy on the ground covering the Washington Commanders for WUSA 9 and doing it right here for you 5 days a week. You can also find me writing about the Commanders for Sports Illustrated's CommanderGameDay.com, and you can follow me on X at DHarrison82. On ground here outside of Foxborough, Massachusetts, where we were at the Patriots facility on Wednesday for the joint training camp practice between the Patriots and the Washington Commanders. So we're going to go over everything coming out of that today. Thank you for making Locked On Commanders your first listen or your first view. And a special thank you to all of the everydayers who come through for every episode. Greatly appreciate you coming through and supporting the program like you do. For anybody out there, if you haven't already, please subscribe for free on YouTube or wherever you're listening to today's episode. And if it's your first time coming through the show, I appreciate you coming through, finding it. Hopefully you like what you hear and you come back again real soon. We're going to hear from rookie cornerback Trey Amos, and we're going to talk to defensive line coach Darryl Tap on this episode. But first, we have to get through all the things that we observed at the Washington Commanders New England Patriots joint training camp practice on Wednesday, and all of that coming up on today's episode of Locked On Commanders, a proud part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. We're going to start off with the most important position on the field. Quarterback Jayden Daniels getting his first opportunity to go up against an opposing defense, the New England Patriots, fully padded, fully live, not fully live, mostly live, no live tackling, certainly no hitting the quarterback, all of those things, right? But a pass rush that he hasn't seen before, a secondary that he hasn't seen before, a scheme that he certainly hasn't seen before, and certainly hasn't game planned before. And overall, Jayden Daniels' stat line is going to look pretty good. No interceptions on the day, 2 touchdown throws, completed most of his passes. But I wasn't able to annotate every single individual one because can't really show you guys, but to kind of give you a visual, when these joint training camp practices happen, action is happening on both fields. So the offense and the defense, they're firing at the exact same time. So what I did is I actually went and joined some fans up in the bleachers, and I found myself a nice little spot where I wasn't in the fans' way of seeing the game or seeing the practice, but I was able to kind of stand there and look to my left, and there's the Washington Commanders offense. Look to my right, there's the Washington Commanders defense. So I was kind of able to kind of go back and forth. And luckily for me, they were kind of countering each other, right? Like one side would have a play, then the other side would have a play. So I was able to see pretty much everything that happened at practice on Wednesday by getting that vantage point and doing that. So Jayden Daniels overall, a good day from a statistical standpoint. Lots of completions, like I said. Dan Quinn talked about Jayden Daniels up before the game. Confirmed pretty much what we all knew already. Jayden Daniels will not play Friday nights against the New England Patriots in the preseason game. Truthfully, there's a lot of mixed reactions to that news. Some people think that Jayden Daniels should play. He's a young quarterback. Every player should play in the preseason, get as many reps as they can, all of those things. Personally, I think it's a case-by-case basis. I think that you can make the case for some players, even with experience, they need to go out there. They need to get the live reps in the fully live game, all of those things. But some players, I think that they can be okay. And when you look at Jayden Daniels, what he was able to do as a rookie, what he was doing at the end of the season last year, and how he's been able to come into OTAs, the fact that he was there for all the voluntary portions of the workouts of the offseason program, and how good he's looked in mandatory minicamp, coming into training camp, I'm okay with Jayden Daniels missing the first preseason game. I don't think he needs it. I don't think it's worth the risk, right? You have quarterback who can now be hit. There's no, it's going to be a fully live game, all of those things. I don't think there's enough benefit for Jayden Daniels as much as there is risk to go out there and put him out there. So Dan Quinn saying before practice, quote, he'll play a lot today. And I think that's important. It's different looks, different systems, different calls, end quote. And I agree with him. I think it's important to see those things, kind of see how these guys react to you and all those things. But again, coming to the preseason game, I don't think it's worth the risk of putting him out there. So speaking of those 2 touchdown passes, Luke McCaffrey and Ja'Cory Brooks coming down with those 2 touchdown catches. Luke McCaffrey, right side of the end zone, very athletic catch, very good ball tracking. I was actually on the complete opposite end of the field, so I was only able to see so much. It was kind of a bang-bang play, whether or not his feet came down. I didn't see any ref indications. I saw a couple of his teammates obviously throw up the touchdown sign. But I also saw no Patriots players arguing it, right? So to me, that indicates that it probably came in. I asked Luke after practice, and he said he's counting it, so we're going to count it too. Jayden Daniels came away very impressed. Ja'Cory Brooks making a one-handed catch for a touchdown. and Jayden Daniels, speaking very highly of his undrafted free agent teammates at times here in the training camp period. So a couple of good plays there. The connection that stood out the most, however, Zach Ertz, Jayden Daniels. I'm telling you right now, if you don't draft Zach Ertz in your fantasy league and you face Zach Ertz in your fantasy league, you're probably going to regret it. I definitely suggest that you go out there and you get yourself some Zach Ertz in your fantasy leagues if you can. Caught one of his passes in front of safety Kyle Duggar, the Patriots safety, another one in front of DB Jalen Hawkins. As far as the running backs are concerned, I know a lot of people are excited to see Ja'Cory Krosky-Merritt this weekend. I am as well. Was certainly hoping to see like a bang, a big play or something like that in the joint training camp practice. You have to remember though too, you're still not going 100% in the joint training camp practice. You're going harder than you are in padded practices against each other, sure, but you're still not going fully 100%. So there's a little bit to be said there. Ja'Cory Krosky-Merritt certainly got some touches, certainly got some opportunities. Nothing that really kind of stood out as explosive, right? There was a fumbled exchange. Jayden Daniels, Ja'Cory Krosky-Merritt, read option. Jayden went to leave it in Ja'Cory's gut. Ja'Cory, for whatever reason, thought that Jayden was keeping it. The ball ends up on the ground. Statistically, it would go down as a fumble against Jayden Daniels. Regardless, what it is, it's something that they got to clean up in communication, which this is what practice is for. This is what training camp is for. So if you heard about it, if you saw it, whatever it is, don't get too crazy about it. It's going to get cleaned up. It's going to get worked out. They're going to be fine. Chris Rodriguez had the biggest explosive run of the day that I got to see for the Washington Commanders going left end. I was able to get around that corner, turn upfield, get a really good gain out of it, probably about an 8 to 12 yard gain before he gets ridden out of bounds by a Patriots defender. But Brian Robinson Jr., the number one running back, I've told you guys, even with the excitement around Ja'Cory Krosky-Merritt and even with everything else, the offseason speculation that maybe he gets traded and all this other stuff, it still looks to me right now, right, and every day is a new day, every opportunity is a new opportunity, but Brian Robinson Jr. looks like the most consistent and the most equipped running back to be the number one guy in the Washington Commanders back room, and that didn't change coming out of the joint training camp practice. Offensive line, Harold Landry was a big test that we highlighted in the preview episode of the joint practice, going up against Josh Conerly Jr., a really big test for him. And certainly Harold Landry got some wins here and there. Josh Conerly certainly got beat from time to time. But I think overall, the rookie looked pretty solid. Like it wasn't a situation where like, okay, man, this rookie just got abused and exposed, and man, this NFL D end is just showing off and flexing and all stuff. No, like Josh Conerly, I think he did a pretty good job overall. Like I said, he's a rookie. He's getting used to that right side from coming over from the left side at Oregon. So yes, he lost some reps, but he didn't win them all, but didn't look like he was outclassed by any means. Laramie Tunsil, again, you don't want to get too crazy one way or the other, right? But I'll tell you right now, just the only time we've gotten to see so far Laramie Tunsil go up against a live opponent, being another team. Laramie held his own, and Laramie looks like a 5-time Pro Bowler, guys. I'll tell you right now, Laramie Tunsil looked really, really good. And those guys that were going up against him from the Patriots defense, they were trying. They were definitely putting in effort. This wasn't like okay, old man, like we'll give you an easy day of practice. No, like they were going after him. Kyle Duggar actually, after one play in 11-on-11s, decided I'm locked up with Laramie Tunsil. I'm going to stay locked up with Laramie Tunsil. I don't know what he was trying to prove. He's going to one up the big man, the vet. But Laramie Tunsil basically said, all right, dude, like you want to latch on, let's latch on. But I'm like 2.5 times your size. And all Laramie did was basically take him and just transplanted him into the Washington Commanders sideline and was like, sit down on the bench, dude, because you're not doing anything to me. And finally, Kyle Duggar let go. And Laramie said, all right, now get over to your own sideline. So pretty impressive feat of strength there. A couple of pressures, though. Harold Landry, again, did get a practice sack on Jayden Daniels by beating Josh Conerly Jr. Patriots defensive back Marcus Jones also got free on a schemed-up blitz. He was able to get a practice sack against Jayden Daniels as well. In the one-on-ones, a little bit of a mixed bag there. Josh Conerly, again, lost some reps against Harold Landry. Nick Allegretti lost a couple of reps against some of the Patriots defensive linemen. Milton Williams specifically on one rep really just kind of planted Nick Allegretti at right guard into the backfield. Tyler Biotish held his own for the most part, but did have one really bad rep. Andrew Wiley, the left guard, with Brandon Coleman being out, Andrew Wiley's playing left guard. Josh Conerly's in at right tackle. Andrew Wiley held his own pretty well. And then, Laramie Tunsil, no issues in the one-on-one. So those are some of our notes. We got some other notes, though. We got to talk about the defense, right? So we just talked about the offense. Now let's flip sides of the ball, talk about the defense, and then talk to the defense. All coming up next on today's episode of Locked On Commanders, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Today's episode of Locked On Commanders is brought to you in part by FanDuel. Summer sports are in full swing, and whether you're all about baseball under the lights, which I will be and my family will be on Wednesday night, golf on the green, or high-stakes soccer action, FanDuel is the best way to make every game more exciting. You're already following the action, so why not make it a little bit more thrilling? With FanDuel, you can get in on the game while your friends are getting sunburned at the beach. For me, I'm going to be sitting in Fenway Park Wednesday night watching the Boston Red Sox take on the Kansas City Royals. And I'm telling you already, I got a couple of bets set up before we even get there. And while the game is going, I'm going to see if I can get a little pulse of the action, see if I can't figure out a little bet in the game to try to figure out a way to make back some of that ticket money. But shout out to another sponsor, Game Time, for helping me hook up those tickets for myself and my family. I'm already locked into every report from Commanders training camp for you, helping you, hopefully keeping you as informed as possible so you can understand what Jayden and the rest of this team have coming this season. If you're new to FanDuel, new customers can bet just $5 and get $150 in bonus bets if your first bet wins. So open the FanDuel app today or go to FanDuel.com to get started. Some injury reports, some injury updates, I should say, rather, from head coach Dan Quinn on Wednesday, and look at the defensive side coming up here on Locked On Commanders. And first and foremost, Dan Quinn, before the practice, did share a list of 7 players that did not make the trip with the Washington Commanders to New England for this joint training camp practice and the game. The first 2 names pretty much knew they were happening, physically unable to perform. Sam Cosmi, Terry McLaurin staying back, not traveling with the team as they are on the PUP list. That is not a surprise. But Marcus Mariota, quarterback Marcus Mariota, wide receiver Noah Brown, linebacker Jordan McGee, left guard Brandon Coleman, and defensive end Javonte Jean-Baptiste. Also, all those guys not traveling with the team, not practicing, not playing on Friday. And, for Marcus Mariota, Coach Quinn said it's a lower leg strain. Didn't say which leg, but it's a lower leg strain. He did say for all these guys that it's not really a big concern, which is a big sigh of relief out of me, because Jordan McGee is a linebacker that we've talked a lot about since he came on the scene last year out of Temple. A lot of production, or a lot of potential, I should say, football IQ off the charts. Just couldn't stay healthy last year. And so we're really excited for him this year to be healthy, entering training camp, have that opportunity. We talked to him on the show just last week. And so I was really bummed to see him miss one practice and then another practice, and then kind of expected him to not travel to New England this week, but to get kind of final confirmation of that, really bummed out for him. But with Dan Quinn saying that it's not a serious injury, certainly some optimism there, and certainly hope to see Jordan back on the practice field very, very soon. Also, Brandon Coleman, this was a really valuable opportunity for him to come out here this week. So for him to have to miss it, that definitely sucks. And Javonte Jean-Baptiste as well. Noah Brown, wide receiver, I'll tell you, like I said, Jayden Daniels from a completion standpoint, got a couple of touchdown throws. You like all those things. But I would be lying if I didn't say that watching that offense go up against a live defense for the first time, a different type of defense, you can see that this team is missing 2 of its top 3 receivers. You know what I mean? And that's just the truth of it. So getting Terry McLaurin back as soon as possible. Hopefully Noah Brown can get back fully healthy from the injury that he suffered in the mandatory minicamp, and then get these guys back on the field as soon as possible. So we'll continue to monitor that. On the defensive side of things got a little bit chippy. I told you about the Laramie Tunsil, Kyle Duggar skirmish, if you want to call it that. Well, the Washington Commanders defense had no fewer than 3 skirmishes with the New England Patriots offense, including one between, surprise, surprise, cornerback Marshawn Lattimore, right? The dude's got that dog in him, man. And Patriots wide receiver Kayshon Boutte was not going to go down quietly, was not going to get pushed around by the bully, Marshawn Lattimore. So they got tangled up a little bit at one point in time. Patriots running back Travion Henderson got tangled up with some of the Commanders' D-line. I didn't see specifically which ones, but I did see Patriots head coach Mike Vrabel just coming in their old linebacker days, just diving into the dog pile, trying to break it up. Hat tip to the old ball coach there, because that was quite a scene. And then there was another one as well. I didn't get the full details on that, but yeah, no like full swinging, blowouts or nothing like that, but certainly some tense moments during the practice. But overall, guys, the New England Patriots offense, you're going to hear from Pats fans, you're going to hear from Patriots media that the New England Patriots offense had a pretty good day against Washington Commanders defense, and they did. Like, that's just the bottom line truth. The Commanders defense gave up more than a few big plays to the Patriots offense, and it was pretty consistent. It wasn't just like one period here and there. It was pretty much every time they stepped on the field for a different scenario, there was a big play given up at some point in time. Quarterback Drake May and wide receiver Demario Douglas did a lot of damage. Stephon Diggs was out there, but I even said at one point in time, I didn't really notice Stephon Diggs on the practice field, but Demario Douglas was kind of dominating things. Beat Mikey Sanders still for more than a few routes. Mikey, I think when you come out of it, Mikey Sainristil is going to go to the film room and he's going to identify quite a few areas where he wants to be better. And I'm confident because, again, we go back to last year, right? Dan Quinn, one of the things he praised Mikey Sainristil in was his ability to self-correct. Well, I think Mikey Sainristil is going to self-correct some things, but he's also going to coach-correct some things. And they're just going to make him a better DB overall. Because I think some of these things, too, like, it's always tricky when you say, like, this defender got beat by somebody. So I only tell you a defender got beat if I'm at least like 90% confident that's what happened, because you don't know the scheme. You don't know the call. You don't know what the check is, what the read is, all of these things, right? But there are just kind of certain things, like certain tells. One of them, of course, is like if a receiver makes a big catch and like three other dudes look at one dude and go, what the heck? All right, that dude probably blew the call. And then there's just other like formational things. Like you watch enough football, you know what a cover 6 is, a cover 2, a cover 3, things like that. There's different wrinkles here and there, but for the most part, you can at least figure it out. Now, there were at least 3 big plays that Mikey Sainristil, again, according to my 90% threshold, was responsible for giving up. Certainly not the kind of performance you expect from him. Certainly not the kind of performance he expects from himself. And the biggest thing about it, though, is it's one practice. It's one day. Don't get too crazy with it. I'm not going to get too crazy with it, but we are going to talk about the fact that it happened because it did happen. What else happened, however, is Mikey Sainristil remaining an opportunistic defensive back. There was actually a route in a red zone drill. Drake May puts it right on Demario Douglas, hits Douglas in the shoulder pads, bounces up into the air. Mikey Sainristil able to control his body, able to control his momentum, comes up with the interception. Big takeaway to end the day. That was the last play for the first team defense. So that's the way you want to end it. You know what I mean? You end it on a good note. Again, the bad side is it should have been a touchdown. It was open. The route was open. Should have been a connection. But the good news is you take advantage of the opportunities that are presented to you and you come up with the play. So good on Mikey Sainristil for doing that in that situation. Dan Quinn spoke highly of the relationship between Dan Quinn or Deebo Samuel, offensive coordinator Cliff Kingsbury as well. Going back to the offense for just a little bit, said, quote, there will be some things that people haven't seen on how we'll feature him, end quote. And, just from what we've seen already, I'm very excited to hear all of that. So one thing I was not able to watch, so I cannot tell you about, is the Washington Commanders defensive line versus Patriots offensive line one-on-ones, because they were on the complete opposite side of the field from where I was at. And they were lining up, getting ready to do their drills. They're blocking my side. I saw Cleveland Farrell get one win really, really quick on Cole Strange. Other than that, I can't tell you. So I thought we'd catch up with defensive line coach Daryl Tap, and he's not going to give us a one-on-one breakdown, but he is going to tell us how he thought his guys did. So here is defensive lines coach Daryl Tap.
So, Coach, unfortunately, one of the things I was not able to observe today was your D-line going up against the Pats O-line one-on-one.
Oh no!
So I figured I'd go to the expert, get your feedback. I don't expect you to give me the one by one and everything else like that. But how'd you feel you guys did?
Good. I feel like we had a good showing. The first opportunity to go against somebody different in training camp, against a little bit monotonous and repetitive, going against your own guys all the time. So it was a breath of fresh air for our guys to know we got an opponent in practice, and then using today to catapult us into the preseason game.
And Coach Quinn talked before practice, talked about how this is just a new type of evaluation. It's not necessarily any more important than another. Obviously, we put a lot of weight on these types of practices. What's important for a guy like me when I'm talking about this first joint training camp practice for you guys, and for fans when they're hearing about this first practice to remember?
Like I said, you just want to see how these guys stack up against somebody different. Like, your eyes can start to lie to you a little bit when you just see burgundy and white jerseys all the time. Now you got a different jersey. Like, all right, how does this guy stack up against another opponent or a different scheme that they're not used to seeing every day? So that's the biggest thing there. And then for me as a coach, I just want to see these guys take what we've worked on in training camp, OTAs and minicamp, take that to an opponent. Looking for guys not to come out here and do something completely off the wall, but to trust their training each time they're out here. So that was the biggest thing for me that I was looking for, and seeing how guys could apply the teachings to go out here and have some kind of success.
And I know you don't have like a lot of rookies on the D-line, but you have some new pieces.
Yes.
How important is a day like this to really kind of keep bringing those guys together as a unit?
Huge. Like I said, they're getting to a point now where they understand the scheme to the point that they can teach it back to me, which is huge. My room is really unique, really veteran-laden, meaning that I can almost just add to the group. Deron Payne and Dorrance Armstrong and Vaughn and Kinlaw and Wise and Jacob Martin, like all those guys, Eddie Goldman, all those guys are teaching the scheme to the younger guys, and just being all the amount of football those guys have played, they would have put it in buckets to help everybody in the unit. So a lot of times Coach Ryan and Reese and myself, we're just adding to the mix. They're taking this thing and running with it. The best teams are player-led, and we have something special in the D-line room going.
Absolutely. I know he's not a D lineman, right? But Frankie Louvu. I'm not going to talk too much scheme and all that stuff. I don't want to break any rules, but the fact that you have a linebacker like that who's willing to do the things that maybe don't show up on the stat box to help out, how important is that?
Huge. Lightning bolt. I mean, he can do everything. How do you want it? He can handle it. Like rushing the passer, dropping in coverage, being loud with communication skills. Like he is truly the ace of all trades. Not a jack, an ace of all trades. Like he is a special player. Super happy I get to work with him in just as small facets I get to, but I know Coach North is juiced to have him and Wags back there leading the linebacker room.
That was Washington Commanders defensive line coach Daryl Tap, who believes the best teams are player-led and that they have something special brewing in the defensive line room. Coming up next, we will hear from Washington Commanders rookie cornerback Trey Amos right here on Locked On Commanders, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. This episode is presented by Yahoo Fantasy. It's the best time of the year. NFL kickoff is almost here, and that means fantasy football season is back in full swing. And this year, Yahoo Fantasy is turning things up with a fantasy football experience like never before. This year, me and this show, we're playing Yahoo Fantasy, and you should too, whether you're a first-timer or you're a fantasy veteran making your millionth league like I am. Hearing about all the skirmishes and the intensity at today's practice should get you fired up for some real high-stakes competition. And that's why I'm excited about one of Yahoo Fantasy's newest features, Guillotine Leagues, where the lowest scoring team gets eliminated every single week. It's the perfect way to capture that intense, cutthroat feeling of these training camp battles that turn into real football here in September. To celebrate 28 years of fantasy football greatness, Yahoo Fantasy is dropping 28 big new features over 28 days throughout August. To kick it off, they just dropped that Yahoo Fantasy Guillotine League, the killer new way to play fantasy football. So with the season around the corner, now's the time to get your league together and give this new mode a try. If you're more into the classics, you can still play in head-to-head private leagues or join a public league. So stay tuned for more killer announcements and start playing Yahoo Fantasy Football now at yahoofantasy.com/lockedonnfl. After joint training camp practice between the Miami Dolphins, the New England Patriots, and the Washington Commanders, we caught up with rookie cornerback Trey Amos, first time on the show. Not really a one-on-one. A couple of other reporters want to talk to him too. So he's like, you know what? I'm a nice guy. Let's go ahead and do this together. So here's a little scrum with myself included with Trey Amos of the Washington Commanders.
So Trey, I mean, first joint practice, NFL action against an opponent in a different logo, right? Just overall kind of your feelings on the day.
It's great, man. Going against a new team, just going there and just competing, seeing, different players, different wide receivers. Felt good to be out there and just trying to get better.
And how did you feel about communication, having to adjust to an offense you haven't seen before?
Felt great, but there's always time to get better. And that's what we're going to look at film, see what we need to do, and just don't make the same mistakes twice.
The coach said he knows rookies are kind of thinking a lot when they get ready for their first preseason game, and he just wants to express to you guys to just kind of stay on your feet and not do something that you don't need to do.
Yeah, just want to stay calm at all costs. So we'll go out there, have a plan, do what you've always been doing back in Virginia, and just keep on stacking.
How different was this than practice? You get to know your own guys, but how different is it being against 17 new receivers?
It's pretty different, but you just got to keep on learning. It's a learning process that you got to keep on getting better at. And, come out here, competing, hey, great weather, it's a great day, so, yeah.
Thank you.
Hey, Trey, I got here a little late. Could you talk a little bit about being out here? What did you see? What did you feel out there today?
Felt a lot of, different type of speeds of the game, hit me the first play. You got to get on your horses, you got to start fast so it won't, creep up on you. But, that's what I had noticed. And, next time I won't, start fast. You just got to find any little thing to get better at. And that's just me starting fast and getting ready to roll.
What do you think of the little skirmishes out there?
Say it again?
What do you think of the little skirmishes out there?
Man, it was good, man. We just out there competing, teammates communicating. We all just trying to get better, make plays, and just, play ball.
Hey, Trey, how good was it to be out here, for the first time for this team unit to just really get your feet wet against an opponent?
It feels great. We're going to find things that we need to work on. Just keep on getting better, 1% better every day. And, that's how I feel about it.
What do you kind of think you've improved the most on since getting in a rookie camp and mini camp?
Repeat that?
What do you think is some of the things you've improved on the most since you got here?
Just showing a lot of effort, getting to the ball, because you never know if you're not running to the ball, something always can happen. Just being there to make sure, just trying to make plays and, just be confident.
All right, that was rookie cornerback Trey Amos. I got to get better at that. I've been saying Trey Amos all draft process. His last name is Amos. It's like famous Amos. That's what he said specifically. Rookie cornerback Trey Amos, who felt it was good competition and getting focused on getting 1% better every day. And Trey, look, he's part of that secondary that didn't have the greatest day in the world, but he certainly made some plays on his own, had a good PBU, had some good moments as well. There was a really bad communication in the secondary. And kind of look at it like he was probably the guy that's supposed to be out wide. But honestly, there was like 3 defenders kind of standing in one place guarding grass and then a wide open receiver for a touchdown. So communication things that they're going to build on. But the great thing is I spoke to Lance Newmark a little bit, assistant GM for the Commanders after practice as well. Nothing, wasn't off the record as in I can't talk about it, but nothing recorded. But we just talked about, they've got some good things from this practice to build off of, and they've got some things that they're going to grow from. And that is the point of practice. That's the point of training camp. That's why you do these joint training camp practices. That's why you lift all them weights, right? So that's going to do it for today's episode. Next time on Locked On Commanders, we're going to be talking about a preseason game. So this is our Thursday episode. Our Friday episode will come following the game. So it's actually probably going to come more like Saturday morning. But that will be our 5th and final episode of the week out here in New England. So we'll have all kinds of preseason reactions and observations. In the meantime, if you got questions or comments, you can text them to me. Becoming a Locked On Commanders insider at joinsubtext.com/LockedOnCommanders. For your next listen, check out Locked On Bets. Betting experts Lee Sterling and Kevin Rogers have daily Major League Baseball locks and can't miss football futures. So find Locked On Bets on YouTube or wherever you're listening to this podcast. To the everydayers, I see you. I appreciate you. Until next time, stay safe, be kind to one another, and we'll talk again real soon right here on Locked On Commanders, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.